I am certain that most of the people that we see out in our society is consumed or hypnotized by some kind of form of black magic or witchcraft, because people just are kind of weird around this time period. They're just kind of strange. They're just not acting like human beings. And this is something that we've discussed about in some Regal Change Academy calls recently, where it's like you feel like you're the alien, and yet you're the most human among everybody. And that's definitely something that I think a lot of people that watch these kinds of videos, not just of mine, but similar kinds of content, or anybody really that is just walking in the truth and abiding in the truth, they understand that feeling of just feeling like an alien, and yet you're the most normal. Like you're just the most, like, it's not that you're sensitive. It's not that you're trying to lose people. It's not that you're trying to have certain boundaries that are excluding other people, but it's almost as if, well, remember that Yeshua said that he came to bring not peace, but a sword. And so you have to choose, okay, if I'm going to really follow Yeshua, if I'm going to really follow the Christ, then I'm going to have to make certain sacrifices myself. But some of those sacrifices are going to be people. And you have to let go of certain relationships with those people, because you're going to reach a level where there's almost going to be like this ceiling, and you cannot break that. You cannot break out of that and go past that ceiling unless you leave certain things or people behind, because they're just not going where you are, ladies and gentlemen. They're just not. And that's not necessarily the most indicative or empowering thing to tell anybody, but because I don't think that it's necessary for us to always just, cut ties at the very first, like we need to cut ties with people immediately. No, no, no. I would love to see more people keep and claim their relationships for long lasting, whether it's in business, whether it's in companionship, whether it's in any kind of form of brotherhood, etc. But the thing is a lot of the people want a handout nowadays. A lot of people don't want to actually do the work. And so what you're going to see down the line is that the Most High is going to execute his vengeance upon those people that you thought you lost. You thought you lost these people. You thought you lost these things, but God is actually showing you, the Most High God is showing you that it's actually the case that he's going to show you how to execute vengeance upon these people. But remember, the Bible also says that vengeance is the Lord's, right? And I do want to read a passage here because it is Halloween, and the energy is really weird. I felt a shift this morning. I had a strange dream last night, and I felt a shift in the cultural consciousness when I woke up. And it was almost like I could feel there's something stirring in the collective unconscious right now. There's something stirring, because if we think about the future as the unraveling of unconsciousness itself into consciousness, that's how you can determine whether or not things are going to be able to be perpetuating a certain way, or moving a certain way, or building up or increasing in some kind of inertia in a certain way. Because it is like there's this inertia of chaotic energy that is picking itself up, and it's getting to the point now to where it's almost kinetic. It's almost a form of kinetic energy. And anybody that doesn't know what kinetic energy is, it's basically when you build up enough momentum that the momentum can sustain itself. And that is almost where we're at in this society. It's almost like people are just acting so weird that the weirdness is ramping up, and people are thinking that the weirdness is not weird, and people are thinking that the normalcy of things is weird. I mean, we live in a society today where if you value family and principles and virtue and taking responsibility for your life, you're viewed as the counterculture. So that's just where we're at. So this is Psalm 149, 4 through 9. And it says, For the Lord hath taken pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and the two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen, and punishments upon his people, the people, to bind the kings with chains, and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all the saints. Praise ye the Lord. So this is specifically for the saints. And I'm not claiming to be a saint here, but it is pretty interesting that the high praises in verse 6 here, it says, let high praises of God be in their mouth and a two-edged sword in their hand. Well, a two-edged sword, that's pretty interesting. What exactly, why would the Lord give his people a two-edged sword? Well, you have to recognize that following the Most High, you're going to be causing division naturally. And it's not because you want division, it's because there's going to be unity in division. You're going to create unity in some forms of the imagination, but also you have to recognize that in that division is going to breed contempt upon your life. And even though there's going to be contempt that is going to be placed upon you from other people, and you're going to have that huge target on your back, because anybody that is abiding in the truth, and I'm not saying just speaking the truth, because a lot of people can speak the truth, but they don't live it. And a lot of people can speak the truth, but they don't know how to act as if they're actually living that which they're speaking. It's almost like how the devil uses scripture to tell lies, or how the devil uses scripture to convince people of certain things or to twist scripture around. Anybody that's seen The Devil's Advocate, this is a movie with Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves, and Al Pacino plays Satan, and Keanu Reeves is I guess you could say it's the protagonist necessarily, but I mean, technically speaking, sure. But in this movie, he plays this protagonist, and the protagonist at one point is confronting Satan and asking him certain things, and Satan makes some really good points about God, Yahuwah, being a sadist, being a vain tyrant, etc. And it's fairly convincing, almost scarily convincing, but the main character is able to see through this enough and see that it's not necessarily the right thing to do necessarily. And why is that? Well, because you as an individual, as somebody that has free agency, and this is where free will comes into play. And the philosophy of free will, I understand there's a lot of people that think that we do have free will and some people that think that we don't. But I think that if the Most High did not give us free will, we wouldn't be able to have the knowledge of good and evil. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, when you're going out and about today, like, because it is Halloween, right? When you're going out and about today and you're looking around at the people that are covered in blood, you know, like I saw like the vampire, you know, like somebody dressed up as a vampire with blood dripping down their mouth. And, you know, I see people that are, I saw a couple women that were dressed up in like a cheerleader uniform that were in their like 50s or 60s. And they were like walking down the street and all that. And, you know, these are women that are, you can kind of tell what they're trying to express or reach at based off of what they're dressed as. And this may sound like it's a little deep, but it's actually, I mean, it is as deep as it actually is. Like this is actually as deep as I'm making it out to be. That's what I'm trying to say here. So these women in their 50s or 60s or whatever wearing these cheerleader outfits, well, they're missing their youth, right? They're missing their youth, and they're missing that part of them that was young and vibrant and had that energy that could do these crazy things or whatever. Like, they miss that energy. And that's what a lot of this kind of satanic stuff is a form of energy being propagated and lifted into consciousness. Because the vampire example as well, obviously energy vampire. And it's almost like this sick fantasy with trying to take people's life source and trying to take people's ability to live. And then you have like other kinds of people that are dressing up like prisoners. I saw a prisoner or whatever, and I could tell by the look in that person's face that they were in a mental prison. They were in a mental prison, and there wasn't much place for them to go, mentally speaking. That's just from the looks of it. And fortunately, I didn't see too much else that was crazy, because on days like this, where there's like a weird satanic holiday going about, I try to stay inside as much as possible. I don't go out, but when I do, like, I'm very cautious. I fasted most of the day because I was just wanting to make sure that I'm fortified in my spirit if there's any kind of spiritual attacks going on. But when you really wake up and you start to see all this stuff for what it really is, and you realize you never really lost this stuff. When I first started to follow Yeshua, I thought I was losing, the celebrations of Halloween or Thanksgiving or Christmas or other kinds of holidays throughout the year. I thought I was losing out on family or friends or potential romantic interests. I thought I was losing all of these things. But what God was really showing me was that He's going to execute His vengeance upon them. He will. I mean, He already is, because they're choosing. A lot of these people are just NPCs and they just don't even know. But there's also a lot of people that are choosing, they know certain things, but they choose not to believe it, because to do so would mean that they have to change their behaviors, and it would mean that they have to change how they move in the world. And they don't want to do that. Why would they want to do that? So these kinds of people are going to get the vengeance of the Lord. They are. And it may be enticing for you to envy a lot of the wicked people out there. I saw a lot of happy faces today. I saw a lot of happy faces, everybody dancing to the Halloween music at the gym. I saw a lot of happy faces, but I saw a lot of really sad and even bloodshot eyes. I saw like multiple people with bloodshot eyes. I don't know why. It was kind of weird. And there was a few groups of men that were watching me as well. Like one in particular, I could feel that they were talking about me. And I didn't really pay them much attention, but they kept looking over at me and looking back, looking over, looking back. And finally I looked back at them and they acted like they got caught or something like that. And they started like acting all weird and they walked out of the gym. I don't know what happened. That was a strange thing. I didn't get any like mean mugs or anything today, but obviously the Jezebels are out. They're being as promiscuous as ever. So it's not really anything new for the Jezebels. But I do have to say that I'm very grateful for living in the truth and being able to see with such clarity. It's kind of like anybody that's gone on a really like big hike. I went to a couple 14ers in Colorado a couple years ago. I guess it was a few years ago now, but did a couple 14ers. And for those that don't know what a 14er is, it's basically a mountain that is at least 14,000 feet tall in elevation. And once you get to about 11,000 feet, that's tree line. 11,800 maybe, depending on give or take. But tree line, that's where the trees stop growing because there's not enough oxygen. And so after that, it's just like rock. That's all it is. Nothing grows past that. It's just rock. And I remember getting up to the top of this mountain, and you could barely breathe, and the wind is so heavy. You feel like you're kind of going to pass out because of all like the lack of oxygen. It was weird. You kind of feel a little bit sick too. You're kind of wanting to turn back because you're just like, man, is this really going to be worth it? I don't know. Because I feel like I'm not going in the right place. Just the lack of hydration and all this stuff as well. There's like no bathrooms. You have to hold it. It's just a process. But then when you get to the top and you see everything with such clarity, you see everything with such majestic beauty that no words could ever describe what you saw up there. That's the kind of level of clarity that you see in reality when you actually are awakened to this truth, to the truth. And when you are following the Most High and you are honoring his laws, statutes, and commandments, the kind of clarity that you get is just indescribable. But the pain and the suffering that you have to go to get there, to see that view, it's never going to leave you after that. You're never going back. So be mindful today and remember that you didn't lose these people. You didn't lose out on these celebrations. God was just showing you how to maneuver better, and he was showing you that this is actually like that, the way that they're living, it's not the right way. It's not. And it may seem like you're missing out, but you're not. You're all in. And that's more than anybody else can say. So with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. If you do want to sign up for the Regal Change Academy, we have the free Discord channel that we actually just hit 100 members there. So that's pretty cool. And then we've got 150 or so members in the paid community. And in the paid community, you just get everything that the Discord has, but a lot more. So you get weekly group calls, weekly Bible studies. You get more of a deeper connection and more opportunities to participate in classes and such. So that's going to be a really great opportunity for you. And what we're really trying to do in these things, in all that we do here, is to help people grow closer to Yeshua, the Most High God, and to help people build their brand, purpose, business, relationships, and fitness. So if you're interested in that, that's going to be the place for you. I do want to thank everybody that's been moving over to the X and the Rumble platform from YouTube. And I appreciate everybody that's been sending me messages on Instagram. That's been really supportive and just appreciative. And I really appreciate that support and the contributions that you guys have had. And with all that being said, peace be with you all. Till next time.